You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
Inside the Student Centre on Gordon Square at University College London sits the auto-icon of Jeremy Bentham, a famous philosopher, jurist and legal reformer. Born in Houndsditch near London in 1748, Bentham was always an avid reader, nicknamed the philosopher by his family, an apt title for someone who went on to invent the philosophy of utilitarianism. Bentham had learnt Latin, Greek and French before he was 10 and graduated from Queen's College, Oxford in 1763, aged just 15. Bentham went on to study the law at Lincoln's Inn and was called to the bar in 1767 at just 19 years old. So what's Bentham's link to University College London? Well, Bentham was 80 by the time that the university was founded in 1828. It was then called just the University of London. He's often falsely believed to be the founder of the university, but in fact it was his followers, James Mill and Henry Brougham among them, who founded the university inspired by Bentham's ideas about increasing access to a secular education for reasonable fees, unlike the system that prevailed at Oxford and Cambridge. The founders paid homage to Bentham through a mural above the Flaxman Gallery in the main UCL library, which shows Bentham approving the architectural plans for the university, though this never really happened. UCL is also where Bentham's body, in the form of an auto-icon, is on display. The auto-icon consists of Bentham's preserved skeleton with a wax head, wearing a straw hat, black jacket and waistcoat, white ruffle and beige trousers. Shortly before his death in June 1832, Bentham requested that his body be preserved and displayed. So, in his words, the whole figure may be seated in a chair usually occupied by me when living, in the attitude in which I am sitting when engaged in thought, the course of time employed in writing. Bentham wrote extensively, penning 20 pages every day until his death. He frequently made up words, including words like international and maximize, which have become mainstays of our language. He wasn't always stationary, though. Bentham is also the earliest recorded jogger. When journalist George Wheatley stayed with the 81-year-old Bentham, he described him taking a few turns in the garden, which he calls circumgyrating, with a trotting step. Bentham's auto-icon was first put on display at UCL in 1850. The preservation of Bentham's head, in a style traditional to the New Zealand Maori, went badly wrong and stripped much of its hair. It was replaced with a wax head on the skeleton, but the real head was displayed between his legs. The real head was stolen by students from King's College London in 1975, who demanded a ransom for its return. Soon after, the head was put in the strong room of the records department for its own protection. Nevertheless, Bentham's auto-icon continues to watch over new undergraduate students and they him from his glass case in the Student Centre. This brings us to one of Bentham's most famous ideas, the Panopticon, a word deriving from the Greek for all-seeing. It was Bentham's brother, Samuel, who first suggested a circular inspection house be constructed to train craftsmen in the Russian Navy. Jeremy adapted his idea for prisoners, making plans for a Panopticon penitentiary. This design had a central inspection tower where the governor and his family would live and would be able to see the inmates at any time and even speak to them through a series of tubes. The idea was that the invisible omnipresence of the governor would make prisoners modify their behaviour to avoid punishment and, through force of repetition, become reformed. The inmates were also expected to spy on one another, as with the staff, and the whole prison would be open to the public to check things are in good working order. This might sound like a Big Brother surveillance nightmare, but Bentham believed it would benefit the prisoners and the public alike. In 1791, architect William Reveley completed the architectural designs for a Panopticon with Bentham's approval. 2 years later, Prime Minister William Pitt approved a plan to build Bentham's Panopticon. Land was even purchased for the penitentiary at a cost of £12,000, but the government gradually lost faith in the plan, abandoning it entirely when they began construction of a national penitentiary on the same site, throwing the design open to competition. Smarting over the change of direction, Bentham penned a series of letters to Lord Pelham in 1802, criticising the transportation of convicts to Australia and the high mortality rates on the hulks. In 1813, he put forward a proposal to colonise southern Australia with free people instead of convicts. Bentham was the first to offer a detailed critique of transportation many decades before the anti-transportation campaign gained traction. And those circular prisons were built in a style resembling the Panopticon in Britain and the world, including at Pentonville in London, Kilmainham Jail in Dublin, and even Panoptico in Colombia, none were a true Panopticon according to Bentham's design.